The reality in which you learned to navigate has vanished. You might sense it even if you can't articulate it. A significant transformation is occurring just below the surface of what we perceive as reality. The traditional frameworks are disintegrating, but this isn't merely a result of chaotic randomness. There is a deeper intelligence at work. An unseen clock has struck midnight. This wasn't covered in your education, and it's absent from mainstream news. Yet, ancient civilizations were aware of this. Embedded within astrology, legend, and esoteric teachings were the warnings of awakening. A time would arrive when the earth and all its inhabitants would start to awaken. That moment is now. This transcends mere astronomy. It's the foundation for the forthcoming era of human awareness. It goes beyond zodiac signs and cliches. It's about systems crumbling, facades breaking, and a worldwide unraveling of misguided narratives. The Age of Aquarius is not merely a fad, but a powerful force that has already commenced to reshape everything you once believed. Long prior to contemporary science's attempts to quantify the cosmos with formulas and telescopes, ancient peoples grasped insights that many of us have lost. Time doesn't simply advance in a straight line, it ebbs and flows in expansive cycles that influence not only our seasons and generations, but also the fundamental consciousness of humanity itself. The grand cosmic cycle, commonly referred to as the Great Cosmic Year, spans 25,920 years and is initiated by the gradual wobble of the Earth on its axis, known as the precession of the equinoxes. This subtle astronomical alteration leads our planet to realign with various constellations over thousands of years. Each constellation governs a particular age, and each age has a subtle yet significant impact on life on Earth. You may be familiar with the zodiac, the 12 signs we often simplify to personality traits and social media posts. However, their original significance was much more profound. They were not merely for individuals, they were markers of ages. Humanity has transitioned through the Age of Taurus, where materialism and earth-centered spiritual practices prevailed. We have now entered Aries, the era characterized by conflict and conquest. Then we entered Pisces, an era marked by belief, dogma, sacrifice, and unexamined faith. Now, that phase is coming to an end. We are moving into Aquarius, a sign that is not governed by emotions or control, but rather by truth, innovation, autonomy, and collective growth. This is the reason the world appears to be breaking apart, because it truly is. We are currently undergoing a reset that occurs once every 26 years. When this cycle shifts, nothing remains unaffected. Systems that prospered within former paradigms start to disintegrate. Perspectives that once appeared logical begin to unravel. Questions arise about everything in your life, not from a place of brokenness, but because your spirit is starting to recall something much deeper than what you have been taught. The Age of Aquarius isn't just a tale, it's a transformation in the energetic climate of our planet. Just as the sun impacts your body and mind through seasonal changes, these extensive cosmic alignments influence human awareness on a generational scale. The ancients didn't merely gaze at the stars, they listened. They recognized that the universe communicates through frequency, and that shifts in these frequencies recalibrate life on Earth. The chaos that you're observing isn't evidence that the world is coming to an end. It signifies that a chapter is concluding. That chapter, the era of Pisces, was founded on faith devoid of understanding. We learned to trust institutions, follow authority figures, and sacrifice our individuality for a sense of belonging. That era brought us religion, martyrdom, and myths surrounding salvation, but it also introduced guilt, shame, and control, masquerading as morality. We were conditioned to seek answers outside ourselves, to believe rather than to question. Yet, mere belief is no longer sufficient. Aquarius demands clarity. It insists on autonomy. It brings the truth to light, whether we are prepared for it or not. Here's what many overlook. This transition doesn't seek approval. It doesn't pause for agreement. It simply exists. It's unfolding now, whether you realize it or are still clinging to the comforts of the past. The essential question to consider is this: will you grow alongside it, or will you be torn apart in the attempt to cling to what has already passed? There's much more to this cosmic shift than I can adequately divulge here. By signing up for Insights Academy through the link in the description, you'll gain immediate access to deeper insights and a complimentary copy of the Sibylon for a limited time. Aquarius isn't here to coddle you. It's here to awaken you from your slumber. This is the era where you stop anticipating someone else to rescue you and start reconnecting with your true self. This is a time for deprogramming, for peeling back the layers and recognizing the constructs of belief for what they really are: constructed, self-serving, and ready to be dismantled. The grand cosmic clock has shifted, and with this awareness, the pertinent question becomes, how will you utilize that knowledge? Aquarius doesn't arrive softly. It doesn't knock lightly or wait for your readiness. It comes like a thunderous clap, like a crashing wave that uproots everything you believed was secure. To truly grasp what this era signifies, you must comprehend the energy it embodies. Aquarius, under the influence of Uranus, represents the cosmic force of upheaval, awakening, revolution, innovation, and truth. It lacks sentimentality. It's not here to placate. Its purpose is to dismantle what no longer serves and reconstruct from the very essence of consciousness. In the context of astrology, Aquarius is the water bearer, not for its emotional depth, but because it pours forth knowledge, insight, and radical clarity into a world longing for truth. It embodies the archetype of the outsider, the visionary, the rebel who perceives what others overlook and rejects the falsehoods. And this is the call of our current age. It invites us to see, really see, the frameworks that have shaped our existence, to question them unwaveringly, and to opt for not just new beliefs, but a novel way of living. This starkly contrasts with the Age of Pisces we are currently moving away from. Pisces is gentle, ethereal, and mystical, but also susceptible to illusions. It's the age that instructed us to believe without comprehension, to follow without inquiry, and to stifle our intuition in favor of tradition. The path of Pisces urged you to seek salvation externally, while Aquarius prompts you to look inward. Pisces crafted deities, Aquarius fosters co-creators. It transitions the narrative from dependency to self-governance. This is why so many feel as if they are unraveling at present, because the inner programming that once provided comfort now feels outdated. Aquarius removes the facades. It's indifferent to your popularity, wealth, respect, or spiritual stature. What it seeks is your unfiltered truth, raw and unapologetic. It compels you to cease performing and start evolving. The Aquarian age doesn't reward conformity. It rewards genuineness, innovation, and the bravery to challenge everything, even your own narrative. The challenge lies here. Questioning is not only about doubting authorities, media, or religions. It also entails looking inward. It involves evaluating what you've come to consider as normal, that never aligned with your essence. It requires acknowledging where you've compromised your truth for acceptance, security, or status. That's where the energy of Aquarius strikes the hardest, not in the external world, but in the silent disintegration of everything you were conditioned to be. Yet this disintegration isn't a form of punishment, it's a means of clearing. Aquarius dismantles not for the sake of destruction, but to construct anew on a more elevated foundation with a clearer vision. The connections that fade, the beliefs that fall apart, and the aspirations that no longer ignite joy are not losses. They are adjustments. They signify the universe's way of liberating you from what no longer resonates, allowing you to finally greet the version of yourself that does. You'll notice it everywhere if you are attentive. Individuals awakening in waves, questioning, reconstructing, letting go of careers, religions, and identities, not out of mere defiance, but because the previous paradigm simply no longer serves them. As you resonate more with Aquarian energy, you become increasingly intolerant of pretense, control, and hierarchy. You start to abandon the need to conform. Instead, you desire authenticity over convenience, depth over superficiality, and vision over nostalgia. And perhaps the most significant aspect is this: Aquarius isn't merely an era you're experiencing, it's an energy calling for you to embody it. It's not just an external occurrence, it's an awakening happening within you. The more you trust your inner wisdom and challenge what feels off, the greater the space you create for true innovation to surface. This transformation isn't limited to your personal journey. It extends to the collective consciousness. This age calls for builders, visionaries, systems thinkers, and truth-tellers, not more followers. If you're sensing discomfort, questioning, or being drawn toward deeper truths, that's your cue. You're not disintegrating, you're undergoing an initiation. For centuries, society has pressured us to align with one side, whether it's science or spirituality, logic or mysticism. Yet this divide was a fabricated illusion, a constructed separation meant to keep the mind and spirit in a state of conflict, fracturing our understanding and trapping us in a false dichotomy. In the Age of Aquarius, this artificial barrier begins to dismantle as we recognize that this new epoch embraces the amalgamation of opposites. It's where the microscope meets the meditation cushion at the same table. Quantum physics is no longer a niche subject for lab-coated researchers. It's a gateway to understanding existence's very essence. At the subatomic level, the universe doesn't function as a rigid mechanism. It behaves as a profound enigma. Particles exist in multiple locations simultaneously and do not even manifest until observed. They exchange information across distances without any physical connection. When examined closely enough, concepts like time, space, and matter begin to dissolve in significance. And what remains is energy, conscious, interconnected, and intelligent energy. Does that ring a bell? That's because mystics, shamans, and esoteric teachings have been sharing this for millennia. Everything vibrates. Reality isn't a solid construct. It manifests as frequency. Thought influences form. The universe is essentially mental, and consciousness isn't merely a product of the brain. Rather, the brain serves as a vessel for consciousness to experience itself. What was once cloaked in metaphor by religions and dismissed as superstition by science is now being corroborated by laboratories and telescopes. The lexicon of spiritual truth is beginning to converge with that of scientific exploration, and this alignment is no coincidence. It reflects evolution. We are moving into a period where ancient wisdom, once suppressed, outlawed, and concealed, is re-emerging. This time, it isn't just arising through intuition, it's supported by empirical research. Neuroscience studies demonstrate that meditation can rewire the brain. Fields like epigenetics disclose that beliefs and emotions can influence gene expression. Research in heart math indicates that the heart produces an electromagnetic field that impacts those around us. Psychedelic science is experiencing a renaissance, not for mere recreation, but as a means to tap into non-ordinary states of consciousness and heal profound trauma. What we are witnessing isn't merely a revival of spirituality, it's a reconciliation. The aspects of our being that were once divided, mind and spirit, reason and wonder, are beginning to reunite. And with that recognition comes power. Not the power to control, but the ability to realize, to understand that the deeper truths of reality are found in the sacred space, bridging textbooks and temples. This is where Aquarius resides, in the liminal, the intersection, the electric tension between apparent contradictions. This new era invites you not to cease thinking, but to engage in deeper contemplation. It doesn't reject evidence. Rather, it broadens the parameters of what constitutes evidence. You'll discover truth not only within data, but through lived experience. Not only in what can be quantified, but also in what can be sensed. The dream that lingers in your mind for days, the synchronicities that seem to defy all reasoning, that internal awareness that resonates louder than mere statistics. These are not merely anomalies in your perception. They represent the evolving nature of human comprehension. In the Age of Aquarius, we transition from mere belief to certainty, from unquestioning faith to inner validation, from fractured reasoning to holistic understanding. You have the right to embrace both the cosmos and mathematical principles. You can both feel and comprehend, analyze and intuit at the same time. The idea of separation was always a falsehood. Now, as the veils dissipate and energies elevate, we are being called back to wholeness. Science and spirituality are not adversaries. They are reflections of one another. When they finally confront each other, the truths that have been obscured will come to light. Not all revolutions don uniforms or clash in the streets. Some initiate in silence, deep within the recesses of your mind. The Age of Aquarius does not incite a revolt, it incites awareness. This is not about storming edifices or toppling governments. It's about dismantling the inner frameworks that led us to perceive such systems as vital. The real battleground is now your own psyche. The most potent tool you can learn to wield is the ability to question everything you were conditioned to accept. This emerging revolution does not rely on slogans, political parties, or iconic figures. It requires individuals ready to confront their own selves. It demands a recognition that the system isn't only present in external institutions, but also ingrained in our thoughts, language, habits, and deepest fears. The Age of Aquarius signifies not a forceful revolution, but one of frequency. The initial step is realizing that the prison you're striving to escape was partially constructed by your own conditioned mindset. The energy of Aquarius does not seek to destroy for mere amusement. It clears a path for authenticity. It disrupts the status quo to realign us with the truth. As the old world descends into chaos, when systems begin to weaken and institutions lose their power, this isn't a collapse, it's a breakthrough. It marks the moment when something too inflexible to adapt finally starts to fracture under its own burden. Aquarius doesn't arrive to patch up the leaks of a sinking vessel. It's here to assist in constructing something that doesn't rely on delusion to stay afloat in the first place. The structures that many once depended on, conventional religion, rigid schooling, unquestioning nationalism, detrimental economic frameworks, are failing not due to outside forces, but because their underpinnings were never grounded in truth. They were established on control, fear, hierarchy, and repetition. While the Age of Pisces rewarded conformity, the Age of Aquarius calls for authenticity, which does not conform to tidy frameworks, but instead disrupts them. This is why many are feeling adrift at this moment. The old map no longer guides them effectively. The guidance you received, earn a degree, adhere to the rules, place your trust in the authorities, keep a low profile, leads nowhere. These directives were crafted to guide you into prescribed roles, rather than to facilitate the discovery of your true power. Yet once you pierce the illusion, there's no going back. The revolution ignites when you stop delegating your understanding and reclaim your right to think, feel, and act according to your own will. That is the real challenge to the system, not violence, but discernment. A generation that no longer blindly consumes, follows orders, or conforms cannot be easily controlled. This is the reason the conditioning is so deeply ingrained. Once the mind is freed, everything else follows suit. Your relationships transform, your values evolve, and your overall perception of reality begins to broaden. Suddenly, the world that once appeared solid starts to morph into something more fluid, more vibrant, more aligned. The energy of Aquarius disregards status or tradition. It doesn't inquire about what's trendy, but instead asks what's genuine. It compels you to make a choice. Hold on to what is known and endure, or venture into the unfamiliar and grow. This is why it appears that everything is in a state of change. The old structures depended on your silence, your obedience, and your fear of standing out. Yet now, the silence is shattering. The compliance is dwindling. An increasing number of individuals are coming to realize that the cost of conformity is exorbitant when it comes at the expense of your spirit. This transformation won't be broadcasted. It will be internal. It won't feature flags or leaders or chants. Instead, it will manifest through quiet choices made within the confines of your own awareness. Through one individual selecting authenticity over comfort time, and again, until the world reshapes itself around a fresh frequency, a novel paradigm. One founded not on control, but on awareness. There's a subtle deception. We were all raised to believe that the systems enveloping us were durable, that governments would eternally operate, that institutions would safeguard us, that progress would be straightforward if we persistently played our roles. Yet inside, you always sensed something was off. You could perceive the fissures in the walls, even when others insisted the structure was stable. Now, those fissures have turned into fault lines. The collapse isn't merely on the horizon, it has already commenced. But what they never disclosed to you is this: the collapse was never the issue. The genuine threat lay in ignoring the instability, while the foundation was built on illusion all along. The Age of Aquarius does not bring about the ruin. It unveils what has been decaying beneath the surface. It brings light to the obscured truths. It tears away the facades and does not seek approval. That is why institutions are crumbling under the weight of their own contradictions. Religion promised salvation, yet delivered shame. Politics promised choice, while concealing corruption. Education claimed to equip you for life, but conditioned you to comply. Finance marketed freedom, only to ensnare you in debt. Entertainment created fantasies that led you to resent your own truth. All of this is now being brought to light, and it's not due to someone's attack. Rather, it's that the frequency of this new age no longer supports falsehoods. You cannot sustain a masquerade in Aquarian energy. The vibration of authenticity is escalating, and anything established on domination, exploitation, or secrecy is being brought to light for examination and dismantling. What you're observing in the news, in headlines, in scandals, and in the collective disintegration is not disorder. It's clarity, painful, yet clarity all the same. The collapse is not an adversary, it acts as a catalyst. People often regard the system as if it exists outside of themselves. However, the reality is that the system resides within us. It's the internal acceptance we made to adhere to guidelines we never questioned. It involves the narratives we embraced about success, identity, and value. It's the anxiety about standing alone, the desire for validation, and the instinct to keep a low profile. The external disintegration reflects our internal turmoil, and both aspects are essential because we cannot construct what comes next until we eliminate the falsehoods. That's why this period feels so bewildering. The scripts are disintegrating, the foundations are crumbling, and the illusions which once provided a sense of security, career paths, marriage norms, academic recognition, national myths, are losing their hold. There's sorrow in that, as well as fear, yet it simultaneously offers liberation. Now, for the first time, we have the opportunity to pose questions that were once off-limits. What type of world do we genuinely desire? Who do we evolve into when we no longer seek approval? What does a system resemble when designed for healing instead of control? This transition isn't straightforward, it's tumultuous. Old paradigms don't relent easily. They react, attempting to intimidate you back into compliance. This is why you observe heightened division, censorship, and emotional manipulation. This is why the clamor is so intense. Those clinging to the old world can sense it slipping away, and deep within, they recognize the truth. Once individuals awaken to their innate potential, they can no longer be controlled in the same manner. When fear of collapse dissipates, they become unstoppable. Don't be deceived by the chaos. The foundation isn't failing because the world is coming to an end. Rather, it is crumbling because something profound is ready to emerge. A reality that is more genuine, connected, and in tune with our true selves. This emergence starts within you. You're not meant to salvage the old world. Your role is to assist in bringing the new one to life. However, you can't achieve that while holding on to systems that aim to suppress you. Allow them to fall away. Grieve what you must, but don't confuse collapse with defeat. It acts as the compost for the future. The Age of Aquarius isn't tidy or straightforward. It dismantles illusions at their roots and reveals decay, but only because it's time to create something better and more substantial. The path forward requires going through rather than around. Those who successfully navigate this change are not the ones who cling the hardest. Rather, they are those who are ready to release. A transformation is underway. Subtle, imperceptible to the untrained observer, yet unmistakable for those who can sense the currents beneath the surface noise. It's no longer merely individuals awakening. It involves networks and fields of awareness. People are beginning to recognize that their personal growth is interconnected with a grander web of awakening. This encapsulates the essence of the Age of Aquarius, not just personal growth but a collective understanding. It involves realizing that you are not just a solitary mind within a physical body. You are a part of a larger field of consciousness that is now vibrating with renewed intensity. In the previous paradigm, society was built on division. The mantra was to divide and conquer, compete to survive, obey or face exclusion. You were conditioned to perceive yourself as isolated, as a mere product or a role. Your success often came at the cost of others. Your security depended on the control of someone else. But Aquarius dismantles that illusion. It reveals what mystics, indigenous cultures, and quantum scientists have articulated in varying languages. We are inherently interconnected. We always have been. Each thought, action, and frequency you project influences the collective field. And that field is currently undergoing a transformation. You may have already sensed it, the rapid increase in synchronicities, the yearning for profound dialogues, the feeling that existence extends beyond mere consumption, achievement, and social standing. Your inability to tolerate superficial interactions any longer, the magnetic draw towards authenticity. These occurrences are not coincidental. They are indicators, confirming that the signal is evolving and you are tuning in. And you're not in this alone. This phenomenon is unfolding globally. Individuals from different backgrounds and languages are sharing similar dreams, asking comparable questions, and awakening from the same delusion. This marks the emergence of a collective consciousness. It's not just a concept or a passing trend. It's the inevitable outcome of an energetic transition. While Uranus governs Aquarius, it is also linked to the nervous system, electricity, and interconnectedness. It's no accident that the internet surged to prominence as we began to enter this new era. It marked the dawn of an innovative intelligence, distributed rather than artificial. A worldwide nervous system awakening, one node at a time. Yet technology is merely a metaphor. The true shift is energetic, emotional, and intuitive. We are rediscovering how to connect with one another on a deeper level, and that act is revolutionary. The systems that once functioned through hierarchy are losing their influence as horizontal networks founded on trust, shared values, and aligned intentions take their place. People are collaboratively forming decentralized communities, freely exchanging knowledge via platforms and tools that circumvent traditional gatekeepers. Movements no longer require leaders, and truth no longer needs approval. The Aquarian revolution thrives on collaboration rather than control. It's unfolding quietly, beneath the surface, more swiftly than anyone anticipated. However, this isn't a fanciful utopia. The rise of collective consciousness does not imply universal agreement. It signifies that we begin to view conflict as constructive feedback rather than a sign of failure. It indicates that we place genuine transparency above the pursuit of perfection, valuing conversation more than authority. It encourages us to refrain from shifting responsibility to politicians, influencers, or corporations, and to acknowledge that the well-being of the collective is tied to the healing of each individual. Each time you engage in personal growth, voice your truth, or opt for love rather than fear, you contribute to a shift in the collective energy. This isn't mere idealism, it's the essence of resonance. And this energy is growing stronger. You can sense it when people unite and an expansive energy flows through them. You can feel it when dialogues spark transformation, when creativity spreads rapidly, and ideas outpace institutional constraints. This new intelligence is emerging not from laboratories, but from within us. It is emotional, embodied, intuitive, and it cannot be controlled because it isn't centralized. It exists within each of us and connects us all. This is what they fear, not chaos in the streets, but calm minds breaking free from outdated conditioning. Not civil unrest, but a shared tranquility that renders their authority irrelevant. Because individuals who think collaboratively, feel collectively, and act from a shared consciousness are difficult to manipulate. They cannot be governed in the traditional manner. And that's the essence of this transformation. It doesn't require everyone, it simply needs enough. Enough individuals to establish a new frequency, enough to embody a different code. The tipping point isn't defined by sheer numbers, it is assessed by unity. So, if you've been contemplating your place in all of this, recognize that it holds significance. Your healing is significant, your clarity matters. Your existence in this timeline is purposeful. You are part of a much grander narrative, one being shaped not by institutions, but by human hearts that remember we were never meant to navigate this alone. The Age of Aquarius is not a solitary endeavor. It is a collective symphony. Once you start to express your truth instead of your fears, the entire composition begins to transform. The gravest illusion of all is the one suggesting that change occurs solely outside yourself. That external events like politics, policies, or protests shape the world rather than your own personal growth. However, the Age of Aquarius compels you to turn your attention inward. If the external systems are faltering, it's a reflection of the internal system within you, the beliefs, emotional patterns, and inherited conditioning that are also nearing their expiration. The genuine revolution isn't found in the streets, it's occurring within your nervous system, in your responses, in your choices. In moments of solitude, Aquarius has no interest in your facade. It disregards your performance, your spiritual facade, or how many books you claim to have read. It seeks your unfiltered truth. It craves the shadow, the aspects of yourself that have been hidden, suppressed, or exiled to fit in. This era calls for completeness. You cannot attain wholeness without confronting what you have disowned. That's why many are facing challenges right now, not due to weakness or brokenness, but because they are being urged to confront the very thing our culture teaches us to evade, ourselves. And while healing trauma is a part of it, this journey also involves unraveling the narratives you never consented to but ended up living. Narratives that defined success, dictated what a man or a woman should embody, shaped the meaning of failure, and influenced where your self-worth originates. These aren't truths, they are programming. Aquarius, with its piercing clarity and refusal to accept superficial answers, brings these issues to light. It reveals where your freedom has been traded for approval, where your power has been surrendered for comfort, and where your essence has been diluted to fit into a system that never prioritized your highest good. But here lies the paradox. The more you delve into your inner self, the stronger your connection to everything around you becomes. This inner journey isn't about escaping the world. It's about reorienting yourself and anchoring in something invaluable that cannot be purchased, taught, or taken from you. When you embrace your truth from within, you stop bending to every story that demands your loyalty. You cease to be easily influenced. And this marks the initial step towards true freedom. It's not a walk in the park. You will experience losses, illusions, relationships, and identities you believed were essential to you. Yet you will also gain clarity and an inner strength. You'll start to realize that as you align with your truth, your desire to perform for a facade built on falsehood diminishes. Your energy will become less accessible for trivial pursuits. Your time will feel sacred. Your focus will become sharper, and others will notice that shift, not because you're trying harder, but because your essence resonates at a purer frequency. This is the upheaval that frightens controlling systems. It's not about rebellion from outside, but claiming your internal sovereignty. A sovereign individual cannot be bribed, intimidated, or seduced into compliance. They know their identity lies beyond the narratives imposed on them. That awareness, multiplied across millions, is what topples empires, not through violence, but through collective vibration. With people choosing to disengage from what doesn't resonate, and to refuse endorsement of beliefs they don't align with, and to stop compromising their integrity for acceptance. This represents a new form of activism, one motivated not by anger, but by embodiment. It's not fueled by resistance, but by integrity. If you wish to impact the world, begin by reassessing the agreements you've established with your thoughts. Review your beliefs, decisions, and assumptions repeatedly. Ask yourself, who benefits from this belief? Who imparted this to me? Does it hold true for me now? The Age of Aquarius doesn't provide you with a new narrative. It incinerates the old one and offers you a blank slate. From this point, you are set to create. However, true creation starts from within, not from the external. It all starts in the quiet space between who you used to be and who you genuinely are. It occurs at the moment you recognize that nothing holds greater value than your internal harmony, not validation, not ease, not applause, just that pure, serene understanding that you're being honest with yourself. Amidst a clamor-filled world, this honesty transforms into a beacon, a signal, a novel frequency embedding itself into the collective consciousness. The inner work is no longer a luxury. It is a necessity. The structures you observe collapsing around you are reflections of our shared internal disarray. To manifest a new reality, we must create new identities, wholesome, integrated, truthful, and accountable, because no external upheaval will endure if those carrying it remain fragmented within. The Age of Aquarius is not designed to provide you with answers. It's meant to remove everything obstructing your own path to discovery. Once the true work commences, you'll come to realize that the world doesn't evolve by raising your voice. It transforms when you reconnect with your authentic self. The Age of Aquarius doesn't offer you a guidebook. Instead, it presents you with a reflection of yourself. How you engage with what you discover in that reflection is solely your choice. This is what sets this era apart. It isn't about waiting for salvation, a perfect leader, an ideal system, or the next initiative to follow. It's about recognizing that you're not merely existing within the world, you are actively shaping it. Each decision you make, each conversation you have, each energy you emit contributes to the framework of what lies ahead. The future is not a predetermined endpoint, it's a collaborative environment. Whether you acknowledge it or not, this isn't just self-improvement phrased in cosmic poetry. It is the most palpable truth of this transitional phase. Aquarius calls for genuine engagement, eschewing performative activism, superficial rituals, and unexamined optimism. It invites you to acknowledge that your energy truly matters, because it does. It invites you to harmonize your external experiences with your internal truth. And this is not a one-off event, it's a daily endeavor. Your mission isn't to save humanity. Rather, your responsibility is to live in a manner that does not contribute to its downfall. This begins with the small things. Consider how you interact with others, how you care for your body, how you consume resources, and how you allocate your time, finances, and focus. Striving for perfection isn't necessary. The notion of perfection is an artifact of the past. What's essential is to remain conscious in your contributions. The reality is that everyone is involved in shaping the future. The critical distinction is whether their participation is deliberate or accidental. When you choose to engage with purpose, you embrace your authentic role, not merely a consumer, nor just a follower, but a co-creator. Here lies the true power, not in dismantling outdated systems, though many will fall away naturally, but in constructing new structures in their stead, ones that embody our evolving consciousness. These must be grounded in mutual care, authenticity, and regeneration, manifesting through innovative economies, fresh educational frameworks, alternative methods of collaboration, sharing, conflict resolution, and life support. These concepts aren't mere fantasies, they are taking root at the fringes of mainstream acknowledgement. Yet, like any seed, these emerging models require intention and attention to flourish. They need your involvement. Co-creation encompasses collaboration. You aren't meant to accomplish everything solo. That's another misconception of the old paradigm. Worth isn't solely tied to individual success. Aquarius teaches us that brilliance expands when shared, that your idea, paired with another's skill and vision, can grow into something unachievable by one person alone. The future won't be led by solitary heroes, but rather by unified collectives, small groups, decentralized networks, and genuine community formed not by mere physical closeness, but by shared principles and profound connection. And if you're curious about where to begin, initiate by posing more meaningful questions. What does it mean to have a conscious relationship? How can businesses be created based on integrity rather than mere extraction? What transformation does education undergo when it shifts from being about control to fostering curiosity? What type of art emerges when it's not constrained by algorithms or commercial interests, but instead is rooted in truth? These are not just rhetorical inquiries. They form the foundation of a new civilization, one that cannot be forced from the top down. It must grow naturally from the fertile ground of awakened minds and sincere hearts. You do not have to deplete yourself to contribute to this shift. Instead, you need to find alignment. Stop investing your energy into beliefs that no longer resonate with you. Cease repeating patterns that belong to a former version of yourself that was focused on survival, not on creation. You hold the right to change. You have the right to evolve. You can redefine your role in this narrative. And when you take that step, something remarkable starts to occur. You begin to find others on a similar journey. You connect with a network, an unseen web of individuals who, like you, are weary of waiting and poised to construct a new reality. You express a unique language. You gather in the gaps of the old paradigm. Together, you start quietly yet radically. This is not the end of the world. It marks the conclusion of a narrative, a version of existence driven by fear, hierarchy, and the illusion of separation. The Age of Aquarius does not usher in destruction for its own sake. It brings forth revelation. It unveils what has been untrue, what has lacked substance, what has been passed down without scrutiny. Once perceived, those truths cannot be unseen. That marks the initial awakening. However, the true work and genuine revolution commence thereafter. After the veil is lifted, following the settling of disillusionment, you face a choice: to revert to the comfort of the familiar script or to brave the unknown and create something authentic. No one is coming to rescue you. There is no savior, no guru, no institution ready to guide you through this journey. And that's not a misfortune, it's a return to authenticity, because what's awakening now is your inner authority. The part of you that recalls who you were before you were conditioned to minimize yourself, before the programming, before the compromises. That version of you is still present. The Age of Aquarius serves as a cosmic invitation to reconnect with them, to assimilate everything you've experienced and move ahead with your eyes wide open and heart whole. This era may not offer comfort, but comfort isn't the objective. Growth is, truth is, integrity is, and these milestones often necessitate discomfort since they require shedding the layers that never truly represented you. The job that merely satisfied your ego, the relationship that compelled you to dull your shine, the belief that drove you to prioritize safety over authenticity, those are no longer needed. They fulfilled a role, but they belong to a version of the world that is fading away. Release them, and indeed the process will be chaotic. Genuine transformation typically is. You may falter, you'll question your own clarity, you'll glance around and feel as though no one else perceives what you see. Yet, the reality is that millions of individuals worldwide are awakening in real time, quietly, incrementally, and with courage. This isn't merely a wave. It's a rising tide. The world won't change overnight. However, step by step, discussion by discussion, intention by intention, we are creating something different, something profound, something that endures. This is why your presence counts. It's not about your perfection, nor your ability to perform, but your very presence. The readiness to remain open when it would be simpler to tune out. The bravery to question when silence feels safer. The choice to act according to your values even when no one else is watching. This is what plants this new energy within the collective consciousness. This is what starts to transform culture, not through mass movements but through individuals living in quiet alignment. You are not here to seek permission. You are present to engage, to embody what is genuine, to act as someone who recognizes that energy influences matter and that your vibration sends ripples across existence. You're here because there's an innate understanding within you that the future is not predetermined. It's a creation of our own making. Not through theories, but through authenticity, clarity, and sustained aligned actions, through dialogues that pierce beyond the surface, and by steadfastly holding on to your intuitive insights. The structures that are crumbling were never constructed for our benefit. They were designed to confine us, to extract from us. Yet now, the illusion is fading. The Age of Aquarius does not merely free minds, it liberates creativity. It inquires what could be constructed if we cease to act as if we hold no power. What could come forth if a significant number of us spoke our truths simultaneously? It doesn't demand a majority. It requires enough to shift the balance, enough to establish the new foundation. If you've reached this point, you already recognize that you are part of this foundation. You've always been. And while this signifies the dawn of the Age of Aquarius, it also marks your awakening. You are no longer caught in the dream of another. You are no longer trapped in the cycles inherited through fear. Those limiting narratives come to an end here. It's not necessary for you to be loud. Fame isn't required. What you need is to be genuine, consistently and defiantly genuine. In a realm filled with imitation, your authenticity acts as a revolutionary force, spreading outward. It creates waves. It redefines the narrative. You are not merely an observer. You do not follow. You are a signal, a thread in the new tapestry. There is much more that can be said. And if you want to stay updated on what's ahead, subscribe to our newsletter, Insights Academy. That's where we share the unfiltered messages not suited for YouTube, and you'll receive a free copy of the Kybellion when you subscribe. Don't scroll past this. Trust yourself enough to engage. If this video spoke to you, please let us know by commenting, "I understood it."